I rank where the view is nothing less than phenomenal. For how I express and project from my abdominal. The only view better, both my daddy and my mama know. No living parents, my sons give me balance. My wife is my serenity, this mic is my identity. The world is foul enough, that's why I write without obscenities. Provoking danger with broken language and spoken anguish. Begging to get hurt, why would you ask to go through changes? Yes, Lord, life's a chessboard, master the angles. Control the tempo, be the one who holds the info. Acknowledge is just as deadly as machete swings. When spoken, the truth is as potent as that Medellin. While others swear the style is free, I just let it ring. Our time is undervalued, soldiers make us better kings. My fans on my shoulder, reaching after better things. Today I take the shot, for them I'd rather set the screen.
My mama told me follow my dreams. My daddy told me get it by any means. Stand tall, make him bow to the king. But I've evolved, you can see the result. Look in my eyes when you speaking to God.
Life and for those who be caught up in using what I was called with the muse. I guess they call it proving I'm more than an artist. Penciling out my darkest while stenciling out a harvest. And storing what gets me from A to B, just like garages. Instrumental with collages. Envision what I've been drawing. Broadway to give you rhythm like the great Lena on. So bent on, found comfort in the storm. Find peace and on when you see them others perform. Organized chaos, I'll cast it like hey ya.
Yo, party people in the place to be. What's good? It's your number one chief rock Knicks universe, your man, Uncle Freezy. Man, what's good, everybody? What's good? Salute. Andios is in the building. Salute. Phillips is in the building. JJ, what's good? JJ, bro. JJ, what a JJ, we're gonna have to do something, bro. We're gonna have to get some pitching, bro. JJ, we're gonna have to get some pitching, bro. We're gonna have to get some pitching, bro. Hey, Rome in the building. Salute. Keith Turner's in the building. Adam, what's good, man? Tory B in the place to be. What's good? If it wasn't for the Bronx, y'all already know. I can say it, but y'all already know. Salute to the Bronx, New York. Salute to the Bronx, New York. Y'all already know what it is. Man, it's good to see y'all, man. It's good to be here with y'all, man. Thank y'all for coming out, rocking. Man, glad y'all here. We have a lot to talk about. I imagine that y'all been hearing a lot of stuff in Me Too, right? I imagine y'all been hearing a lot of stuff. Yo, my man Keith Turner's in the building. Salute. JM is in the building. Salute. Man, y'all come on in here, man. We got a lot of real talk. We got a lot of real talk to get to, y'all. T. Williams in the building. Salute. Man, y'all get on in here. Y'all get on in here, man, so we can chop this thing up. Man. Jordan Clarkson, Mike Brown, Gerson, yeah, but it was him. Daniel Berry Sports Highlights is in the building. Salute. D Buckets in the building. Salute. So where do we begin? Let's start with Mike Brown. Brandon Williams comes straight in the door like with the yeah, man. Let's start with the Mike Brown hire. I am in the mindset that the Mike Brown the process of hiring Mike Brown was excellent. Right? We got out in the market. We didn't look thirsty. Right? We didn't make a weird hire. Right? Like we didn't go out, and I say we as if I'm in the Knicks front office, right? But the Knicks didn't go out and hire somebody that they knew. They legitimately was like, look, man, relationships are good, but we're looking for the perfect fit. Johnny, Johnny Davis is in the building, right? AA in the building, salute. The Knicks took their time, interviewed candidates, searched, canvassed the landscape, said, hey, this is who we are and this is what we are looking for. It wasn't one of those cases where it's like, I guess I'll take the Knicks job. They want me more than I want them. Nah, it wasn't that. The Knicks legitimately took their time and made the hire they felt like was best. And I'm not going to front, though Mike Brown was not my guy personally. Didn't necessarily know what they were looking for specifically, but what I can tell you is that I'm very comfortable with how the process played out, and I'm very comfortable with Mike Brown. Right? I'm very comfortable with Mike Brown. Right? In that I think his lead assistant is going to be a very good veteran NBA coach. Chat, what does Mike Brown bring to the table? When you hire Mike Brown, what does Mike Brown bring? I think the thing that Mike Brown brings is connectivity, right? I think Mike Brown brings connectivity, right? I think Mike Brown brings this thing where you don't know it until you see it, right? Like Mike Brown is like, oh, you guys want to get out and run? As long as y'all commit to it, we'll do it. East Blue Jewels in the building. Ruben Nunez was good. Freeman was good. Mike Brown brings connectivity, in my opinion. This is from what I've seen from Mike Brown. Connectivity. Oh, you guys want to play offense? Listen, we'll do it as long as y'all commit to it. When y'all don't commit to it, we're going to do things my way. Right? And I know the numbers say, I know what the numbers are going to say, like analytics and stats and all that stuff depends on the personnel that he had, right? He's coming here with a different personnel grouping. Excuse me. Mike Brown's coming to New York with a different personnel group. Now, the personnel group that the Knicks have is very offensively talented. Thanks, JJ. I appreciate you, bro. Mike Brown is the type of person the type of coach that's gonna, if you say you're gonna do something, you better do it with Mike Brown, right? And if you commit to something, if you make Mike Brown commit to something, you better commit to it, or he'll put you in the doghouse. Hey, Keith Turner, I'm gonna get to that, bro. And JJ, I'm gonna get to your comment too. It's just I have to do it in a certain order. So a couple of years ago, Mike Brown created this thing called the Trident offense. And y'all heard me talk about it some certain nights here on the Knicks at Night Pod. If you've been around long enough, you heard me mention the Trident offense, right? Three-way go, right? Person with the ball has three things that they can do. Right. One of the things that I like about Mike Brown is that he doesn't mind who touches it on offense as long as the offense is efficient. Right? One of the things I like is that when you grab a rebound, you have permission to push it. One of the things we didn't see under Tom Thibodeau, and I'm not kicking Tibbs in the back, I'm just it's historic, this is data. If you grab a rebound with Mike Brown, you can turn up the floor and go, right? Until you get pressure, and then you want to give it to your ball handlers, right? What that does is pushes the pace. For instance, Vinny Blanco is in the building. For instance, if Karl Anthony Towns battles somebody for a rebound, grabs the board, he doesn't have to hold the ball and look up the floor. Or he doesn't have to wait right there till a guard comes and gets the ball from him. Karl Anthony Towns can push the ball a little bit. Now, am I saying point center? No. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the opposite, right? What I'm saying is getting the ball up the floor mitigates other teams from setting their half-court defense. Because if you push the ball, the defenders have to pick people up in transition. And sometimes you get cross matches. And in those cross matches, sometimes you get mismatches. And in those mismatches, offensive weapons can destroy a weaker defender. Right? What Mike Brown does is he allows you to play basketball a little bit. Right? There is no, hey, this is this guy's team and everybody else is the Pips. Now, can you have two all-stars under Mike Brown? Of course you can. And will those guys score a lot of points? Of course they will. Right? But when Josh Hart gets the rebound, he's not going to be looking for Jalen Brunson under Mike Brown. When Mikal Bridges gets a rebound, he's not going to be looking for Jalen Brunson, right? Everybody's running. That's why the Trident offense works. And that three-quarter court, full court scramble back down the other end of the floor, you have to pick somebody up. And And listen, y'all, this is not just, and I said on rebounds, but I meant to say on makes also. I saw Oklahoma City. I mean, what's Oklahoma City? I saw Sacramento and another team in the playoff. It might have been Denver 2 years ago, 3 years. The year we lost to Miami in the playoffs. The year we lost to Miami in the playoffs, I think it was. And maybe I'm mistaken. But the Sacramento Kings were legitimately taking the ball out the rim and getting the ball up the floor to create cross matches. Now, for those that are defensive minded, some of these things are going to look a little bizarre to you. That a team is not just going to be all defensive minded. Is Mike Brown going to be an all offense coach? Of course not. Is he going to be an all defense coach? No, of course not. Right? But what I can tell you is that the Knicks offense and defense will look different. It's going to look different, right? And so will it look different in a better way at first? We don't know because, of course, we have to see what the personnel looks like. Right? We have to see how these guys mesh. The one thing I like about Mike Brown outside of offense and defense is that you're not going to push him around. If the referees allow Jalen Brunson to get hit, Mike Brown is going to be out there on the floor in their ear screaming. Protect Jalen Brunson, right? Protect our guys when they go to the rim. This year, our guys would go to the rim and get beat up, and our coach would just yell and wouldn't even get a technical foul called on them. Yeah, I remember the guy that was here, the tough guy, wouldn't even get technical fouls. Our guys going to the rim getting accosted, he wouldn't so much as get a technical foul called on him. That was his badge of honor. I can yell and scream, but I know where to draw the line. You draw the line at losses, at wins. Because you have to protect your guys. Right? Some organizations like that. Some organizations don't. They don't like the optics, but he can't help it. Right? One of the things I can guarantee that you'll see in a Mike Brown offense, and this is just by me watching Mike Brown offenses the past few days. This has nothing to do with what I think his offensive philosophy will be. Mike Brown's offenses are going to have movement at the top, the middle, and at the rim. Mike Brown's offenses are going to have movement at the top, in the middle, and around the rim. Nick Yak is in the building. Salute. That's what we should expect. I would expect from a Mike Brown coached team that guys that generally didn't get offensive touches in past years, Josh Hart, guys like that didn't necessarily score, that didn't get reasonable touches and all that, I think you can expect that now. Yep, East Blue Drew, I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm with you on that. Some of the questions I had about the previous coach. I got a bug in here, man. I had the door open, man, and stupid bug, and I can't catch him either, which makes you mad. But YZ in the building, salute. One of the things that you can expect from Mike Brown is when a play has a player open, man, these guys are going to get touches. Now, they may or may not be used to it, and it may take them some time to get used to being utilized a certain way. Remember these guys were basically in a system for 5 years. So going into a new system, of course, it's going to take some adjustment. We're reasonable people. We know this, right? We know this. We're reasonable people. We know things are going to take time, right? We know this. But what I've learned over the years by watching Mike Brown is at least people have defined roles. When guys have their defined role, regardless of what's happening, that guy in his defined role is going to be in that defined. Yeah, anybody remember what's the guard he had in Cleveland that him and Tyronn Lue used to put on everybody? Y'all remember the guard in Cleveland? Yeah, I remember there was a guard in Cleveland that Mike Brown had. I can't remember his name. I think he played for Mike Brown and Tyronn Lue, I think. I don't think it was Della Vadova, but they had a guard. They had a guard in Cleveland that they used to put him on everybody defensively. Cash, what's good, bro? But I don't bring that up to say that player was a star, but I bring it up to highlight the fact that when Mike Brown gives you a role, he expects you and trusts you in that role. I think the grand winner in the Mike Brown hire, right? I think the grand winner in the Mike Brown hire is going to be Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby, and not because they score the ball more, because I think they'll be asked to do less. Drip Moore is in the building, salute. I think they'll be asked to do less defensively. Not that defense is an option, because OG is a defender. He ain't going to turn down his defense. But what I'm saying is they'll be asked to do less, right? They'll be asked to guard wings and not guard guards and centers. And with that savings, I think you'll see them hit three-pointers at a higher clip because they'll have legs for their jumpers. I think they may be more efficient scoring the basketball. I'm not saying that they'll score a ton more points. I'm saying that I think they'll be more efficient. They'll be used better. One of the weapons I think is going to be used is Mitchell Robinson. And I say this to every time I say it, people that don't understand like the people that don't understand Mitchell Robinson, they'll say, Mike Brown's an offensive coach, man. Mitch can't do such and such. Well, for one, you don't know what Mitch can or can't do because he was never allowed to can or can't do it. You don't know if Mitch can bring the ball up the floor a little bit. We don't know that. Right? We don't know if Mitch can shoot the ball outside of 4 or 5 feet. He grabbed offensive rebounds and be looking towards the corner. That's a coaching thing. We don't know what these guys can and can't do because most of them have been with the previous coach for 5 years. You be with somebody for 5 years, they like, nah, don't force that ball into Mitchell Robinson because we don't want turnovers. Or don't throw that ball into that deep corner to Deuce McBride, even though he's wide open, because we don't want to risk throwing long cross-court passes. But you don't know that because we didn't see it because of the coaching philosophy. The two things I'm certain about, though, is that Mike Brown is a very experienced offensive coach, and Mike Brown is a very experienced defensive coach. Mike Brown is a very experienced overall basketball coach. The one thing I like about him over the years is that if you're nervous about how he handles himself with Brunson or with Cat or with OG or Mitch or Bridges or Deuce, remember, this is the dude that coached LeBron. And if you can coach LeBron, you can coach anybody. This is the dude that was on the bench in Golden State. If you can't learn from Steve Kerr in 3 or 4 years, you can't be taught. This dude coached De'Aaron Fox. Yeah, Eastwood, he did coach Kobe. He sure did. And Dwight Howard and Steve Nash. The one thing we know about Mike Brown is a guy, right? You're not going to talk to Mike Brown any kind of way, out the way, right? You're not going to treat Mike Brown any kind of way. He's a stand-up guy. Jeff, what's good, bro? One of the things that I'm confident in with Mike Brown is that he will go to bat for like players, bro. Right? He will go to bat for the players. What I notice is that When Mike Brown got fired in Sacramento, like 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, they traded a franchise player to San Antonio. Maybe a month later, something like that. Maybe a month later. The interesting thing to me about Mike Brown is, and this is going to sound funny, Mike Brown coached the two-time clutch player of the year. Like when the award first came out, Mike Brown coached the clutch player of the year, and now he's in New York with the clutch player of the year. One other thing that I really like about the Mike Brown thing, now mind you, my secret man crush was Tyronn Lue, right? And I felt as if Taylor Jenkins was going to get the job. Mike Brown appears to be the next coach of the New York Knicks. Am I mad? Nah. I actually feel pretty good about it. Right? I actually feel pretty good about Mike Brown taking over this head coaching job. You know, JJ said, can he turn him into Monk? Nah, we don't want Clarkson to be Malik Monk, but Jordan Clarkson is a player. Right? Jordan Clarkson is a player we've been needing for a long time, a bucket off the bench. 13, 14 points a game every night, book it. Right? Book it. Book it. The Euro big we got from the Sixers, I honestly don't know what we're getting from him. He's an offensive big that doesn't rebound well. Kind of like a bull. I think this kid that we just got is kind of like Montrezl Harrell. If y'all remember Montrezl Harrell, very aggressive offensive player. Right? Very aggressive offensive player. I don't want to draw any conclusions early on, though, because the roster was super talented before Mike Brown got here. And the addition of a legitimate bench scorer, was an A+ by the front office. The draft pick was okay. The undrafted free agent signing guy was okay. But in an Eastern Conference where Cleveland is great when healthy, the Hawks are improved, Orlando is improved, the Wizards will be better. Charlotte's going to be all right. Charlotte will probably be a playing team. Who knows what's going to happen in Chicago? Who knows what's going to happen in Milwaukee? Who knows what's going to happen in Detroit? The Knicks, of all teams, offer a level of stability that makes what they can do in the Eastern Conference somewhat predictable. missing out on, and I don't, and we're guessing Cameron Payne won't be back, and we're guessing Landry Shamet won't be back. They may be. You never know. You never know. Right? You never know. But I'm confident that Ariel Hukporti is going to be a rotation player this year. Of all the kids, I think Ariel Hukporti is going to be a rotation player this year because of need. Right? Do you need Ariel Hukporti to play 20 minutes? No, not when you have Cat and Mitch. You can stagger their minutes. But those 8 to 10 minutes where you can play Cat with a center, right? Or you can play Hukporti next to Mitch in those extremely large lineups. I think Ariel Hukporti allows us to diversify our portfolio. Right? You don't know what we're going to get based on how Tom Thibodeau played him versus what Mike Brown is going to bring. My question to you guys, so my 2 questions or 3 questions, oh shoot, East Blue Drew, 4 questions that I have for y'all. What type of offense do you think Mike Brown is going to run with our personnel? What free agent signing do you think is up for the Knicks? Who's going to be the 5th starter? And will Mike Brown play the kids? Y'all don't have to answer all of those in an order. Just pick one. Whatever you come up with, I want to talk about it. Will Mike Brown play the kids? What free agent is coming here next? What offense is Mike Brown going to run? And who's the 5th starter? Tell me what you think. So yeah, I think so. If Mitch is the 5th starter, that means Cat is going to play some 4. Coach says LeBron James. And I went, nah, I don't know about the LeBron thing, bro. I don't know about the LeBron thing. I have a sense it's going to be a motion offense. I think it's going to be less dribble. I think it's going to be a lot less of dribble. Jeff NYK says Deuce is starting. Wow. I'm gonna tell you what I think is gonna happen. Y'all remember this time last year when we didn't have a center and we were talking about Randall getting some minutes at the five. Remember this time last year when we were talking about, man, you got to trade for Walker Kessler. This time last year we were having those conversations. Who's going to play center for the Knicks? Right? Remember that? Who's going to play center for the Knicks, man? Mitch is out until such and such. I think what you can expect from the Knicks, if I can paint the picture, if I can paint the picture for us. This time last year, I mentioned that the Knicks were going to play five out. If Randall got any minutes at the five, we were going to play five out. And I think somebody took five out and ran with it. Like, you just can't play five out with any personnel group. And basketball people know that. Like, you just can't just say, you just can't throw like certain terms out there. It just don't make sense, like from the basketball standpoint. Like some stuff just is not going to work, right? Some stuff just is not going to work. So with this offense, I think what we're going to see, is a lot of slashing from Bridges and OG. I think you're going to see a lot more dunks this year than you saw last year. Right? I think you're going to see a lot more athleticism on display this year than you saw last year. And not because the team may be more athletic, but they will have the opportunity to be more athletic because of spacing. Once the Knicks get a rebound and push it up the floor, in transition, you have to stay glued to that man. You can't leave a man open or without giving up the threat of a three. So I think what you'll see more of is three-pointers from Karl-Anthony Towns, three-pointers from Jalen Brunson at a higher clip, maybe 7 or 8 threes a game from Brunson, maybe 5 to 6 threes from Cat. I'm going to see. I don't know how many threes Cat shot per game, but I think it might be 5, but it felt like less. I'm gonna pull up this stuff here real quick. I'm gonna look at the regular season number. So Karl-Anthony Towns took 4.7 threes per game and shot 42%. Jalen Brunson shot 6.1 threes per game and shot 38%. That number is way down. That number is way too low for Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson and OG Anunoby's three-point percentage should not be in the same stratosphere. They should not be in the same zip code. Jalen Brunson is a shooter. I think in transition, and I know this is something that Knicks fans are not used to. Man, listen, David Smith, I'm not used to talking about it. Right? Hey, I see you, man. I got some stuff I got to get off my chest first, bro. I ain't rocking a minute. So I just want to get this stuff off my chest first. I think the offense is going to look different in a sense that I think you'll see two Knicks attacking the rim from different places, which opens up space on the perimeter and puts defenders in jeopardy. Randall, what's good? One of the things that, as Knicks fans, that we don't necessarily talk about as much as we should is not that our offense got bogged down at times, but we should have talked about why our offense bogged down at times, right? And and defensively, it's not that these guys didn't play hard on defense. It's schematic schemes, man. When your defense is predictable, and you have bad defenders and your defense, of course, is going to be manipulated. Right? There are some things from the past few seasons that are easy fixes. Don't put a bad defensive scheme out there with bad defenders, right? Have a plan. And for your elite defenders, capitalize on having elite defenders, right? Mikal Bridges doesn't have to be your point of attack defender for 82 straight games, like getting smashed up, and then by the end of the season, you're wondering why he's getting beat defensively. You can't move a refrigerator with a Honda Accord, right? You got to be smart about it. Got to be smart about it. One of the things that I noticed that this team has that we didn't capitalize on offensively is we had guys that are legitimately good passers not passing the ball, not sharing. And not because they're selfish, but because when you're in a risk averse offense that values any shot over a great shot, you're like, nah, don't take that. Man, listen, I'm gonna tell y'all something. I learned in the summer of my 8th grade year. My coach, Mr. Marcellus, put a folding chair out by the 3-point line, and we thought it was there so that we can shoot behind it. We thought he was going to stand at the baseline and throw us bounce passes to that chair so that we can catch and shoot over the top of a chair. Wrong. He put that chair there so guards, when they get the screen, would rub their shoulder against that chair to scrape the defender off, and a big would be wide open, and you had to throw a bounce pass straight to that big. Regardless, throw that pass. What I noticed with Mitchell Robinson and Ariel Hukporty and Karl Anthony Towns is they get that screen and they're open in those first 3 steps going to the rim, and we never throw them the pass. I pointed out to, I think it was Coach Malpica. I think I pointed out to Coach Malpica one night I saw Mitchell Robinson was open off a screen at least 11 to 12 times. You know, and listen, I'm not saying Mitchell Robinson is Nightcrawler. I'm not saying Mitchell Robinson is the Matrix. What I'm saying is if you set a good screen and the ball handler accepts a good screen, either the ball carrier is defended, the ball handler is defended, or the big is defended. Now, in a lot of those cases, if you're defending, that first step up man is defending the ball handler, that means Mitchell Robinson is wide open. And we won't hit the roll guy, right? We won't hit the roll guy. And I know people are saying, well, Mitch can't catch. I think you got to be in rhythm. You got to get, come on, man. It's ridiculous. When that roll guy is you know he's open because you see the defender coming towards the guy with the ball. What are you going to do? Are you going to bring the tag man off the box up to cut off Mitchell Robinson to leave a wide open three in the corner? Nah. You're not going to leave a dude wide open in the corner. The tag man is going to wait right there and let Mitch roll to the rim because the defense knows we're not going to pass to the roll man. And it's not just about Mitch, though. It's about anybody that sets the screen. Anyone that sets the screen is a non-factor in the play now, and their man can defend two people. That's what we saw the last season for sure. The year before that, we had a big in Hartenstein that they would pass the ball to, and he would throw a floater in the paint. Right? Anybody remember the Hartenstein floater? Like coming off the screen? Remember that? Hartenstein would come off the screen and they would throw him, they would bounce him the ball every now and then and he would throw up the floater. It seems like he did that a lot, right? But he didn't do it a lot because he didn't get the ball a lot. He didn't get the ball off the roll a lot. You maybe saw that 2 to 3 times a game. Maybe. Right? In this set, I'm going to say this. I'm confident to say that if that's there for Mitch, Mitch is a different offensive player. Now, of course, Mitch and Cat both have to work on some things offensively. Cat has to stay off the ground. Cat got to stay off the ground. You can't be on the floor every offensive possession. Cat, you can't be on the floor every offensive possession. It just don't make sense. And all it takes is for Mitch to catch that ball in traffic 5 or 6 times, 7, 8 times for him to attack the rim. And now the weak side or the strong side 3-point shooter in that corner is open for 3. And I mean wide open for 3, not mediocre open. So how do we get there? How do we get to the point where we can run, say, when we do run a pick and roll? I'm not a pick and roll fan like a lot of you guys are. I think the pick and roll attracts multiple defenders to the ball. I'm not a huge fan of it. I do understand that you have to do it. It's like running the football in football. I understand you have to run the pick and roll sometimes. You got to run the ball up the middle sometimes just to keep people, the defense aware. But I do understand that also, I do understand that in order for you to get those strong side threes in that deep corner, you have to have a roll man that's a part of the pick and roll. And how do you get there? Well, one, you have a athletic wing player running the baseline, back actions. So if the pick and roll starts up top, you have to have back action on it, and you have to have guys in the mid range. You have to have it. So that's one thing. Now, defensively, Karl Anthony Towns doesn't care about defense. I don't care. Y'all can say what y'all want to say. It don't have anything to do with he's not nimble or Jack be nimble, Jack be quick. None of that stuff. Cat don't care nothing about defense. Period. He don't. People can say what they want to say. Man, Cat, he just slow. Cat just mentally slow on defense. No, he ain't no mentally slow. How you mentally slow on defense, but you an all-star on offense? That's ridiculous. How you somebody tried to tell me Cat had like big feet or something, and so Cat can't move on defense. He can't move but then you see him taking centers and power forwards off the dribble all game. He don't care. He don't care. He don't care about defense. This is just what it is. Let's keep it a stack. Right? He don't care. No, David Smith, I'm talking about in the paint. I know he can guard on the perimeter. I know that. So in the paint, Cat's paint defense, he don't care. Out on the perimeter, he can defend. Right? I'm not saying he's great. Right? Right? I'm not saying that he or Brunson or Jordan Clarkson or Yo Gabba Gabba, whatever his name is, the Yo Gabba Gabba guy, the Garcelle something. I know his name. Respect to him. I just him. He don't care about defense either. He don't care about rebounding. He don't care about defense. But what he does care about is putting that basketball in the hole, and he's good at it. Thanks, Jeff. Yabusele, that's him. Yabusele, that's him. He don't care about defense. He don't really care about rebounding. Look at his numbers in Philly. Right? I talked to a Philly guy. Y'all know I kick it with the Philly guys. I didn't talk to them, but I plan on talking to them. Right? He's Montrezl Harrell, basically. He's gonna score and he can shoot a little bit. And he's big. This dude is big, right? Defensively, I think Mike Brown is going to mix up the defenses. I think you're going to see this thing called zone defense. And I know Knicks fans have never heard of it because they hadn't seen it. Right? Mike Brown is going to a little bit. I'm not saying much. I don't know what the percentage is. Right? I don't know what Mike Brown's percentage is, how much he loves zone defense. All I know is Tom Thibodeau didn't believe in it. You got to at least run it. How you save players' legs is not just by benching them, right? Or rotation. You can save guys' legs by what you do offensively and defensively. Keith Turner says can't play zone with Cat and Brunson would get eaten alive. Well, what kind of zone are you talking about? Yuri, what's good, man?
Yo, what's good? It's been a while.
Yeah, man. It's been a busy week.
Yeah, finally
Yeah,
got our coach. Finally.
yeah, yeah.
We've made 2 signings without our coach. By the way, when people say the Knicks didn't have a plan, they got 2 players before they made a Mike Brown hiring. And for anyone that doesn't believe in that, they were reaching out to players saying that their coaching search was about to be done. So it goes to show that Leon Rose and his front office did have a plan. Just want to put that out there. Also, always good to see you.
Yeah, these dudes. Yeah. Fans will say ridiculous stuff, and if you follow, not all fans and not all the time, but sometimes fans will say ridiculous stuff, like a front office of 80 plus people getting paid all that money won't have a plan. They'll just be getting checks from Dolan and not do anything. That doesn't make sense.
Never does anyway.
Right.
Back to the topic at hand, Mike Brown. I did search up his resume. Very interesting resume, right? Offensive-minded coach, but he could be a defensive-minded coach as well. He's been to the finals back in 2007. Different era at the time, right? Where the 2-point shot was the value shot. We didn't have that many volume threes growing up. But at the same time, though, he's been to the finals as a head coach. He's been to the finals on the Cavs, right? He's been to the Golden State Warriors as an assistant coach, where he won championships with Steve Kerr. He's been on the Greg Popovich tree. He grows from the Greg Popovich tree. What I'm trying to say is that I like it, but I'm not excited about it. I want to see what he does with this team. Essentially.
But wasn't that the same case with Tom Thibodeau? You wanted to see what he did with the team, right?
Yes, same thing with Tibbs.
Yeah.
I've kept my opinion on Tibbs. I liked him. I didn't like stuff about him. Every coach has their pros and cons.
I think the most impressive thing from a guy like that would be don't come in with a preset template. Even though you know these guys by them being in the league, you don't know what this team can do together. Find out what the strengths and weaknesses are of this bunch and shore up the weaknesses and highlight the strengths.
No, I agree. Definitely. I agree with you on that 100%. JB has weaknesses. JB has his strengths. Cat has his strengths. Most definitely has his weaknesses, that being on defense, like you said. I don't think Cat, quote unquote, doesn't care on defense. We've seen Cat play defense at times. At times, which is very rare. I'm not going to bash Cat because I've done my bashing on Cat throughout the entire season. Has he has his moments? Yes. Has there been moments when he's bad? Yes. But let's not remember, we would have went home like literally a few games ago when we were facing the Pacers. If it wasn't for that 25-point, 20-point quarter he had, fourth quarter he had, which was amazing. Right? So
what does that have to do with the defense, though?
I think Cat was limited on defense because of his knee. That's my take on it. Right? I think when he had to run his knee issue, he couldn't laterally move as much as he wanted to. Right? So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. To be fair. That's my take.
Okay. Yeah. So what I was stating is my opinion. In my opinion,
right,
Cat don't care about defense like that.
I can agree with that.
And so you could tell in stretches where you're like, is this defense thing a it doesn't work in Tom Thibodeau's defense, or is this a thing that was also happening in Minnesota? And so this has been a thing with Cat since he was with Willie Cauley Stein at Kentucky,
Right.
where some things are he's just not gonna be he's not gonna do. Now here's the thing. Me saying Cat doesn't care about defense doesn't mean Cat doesn't care about basketball or Cat doesn't care about
Right.
winning,
Right. No, I
right?
understand that.
And so when you look at most of the great offensive bigs that have ever played the game, they're usually offensive minded heavy, right? For Jokic is one,
Right.
where his defense is porous, but you know that, and that's why you put Aaron Gordon with him,
Right.
right? Bronx Mel in the building, salute.
People
Hey,
love
Davis, and so I'm not bashing Cat. As a matter of fact, I want people to understand what I'm saying about the big picture of Cat. Like if we pretend that Cat's a perfect player, I'm not gonna pretend. I'm not gonna play that game with anybody,
He's
right?
not.
I'm not going to play some Cat's a perfect player game,
Right.
right? All these dudes have flaws, right? There's no perfect NBA player, right?
Right.
There's everybody that plays this game has something that they can work on and fix, right? What I would say about the Mike Brown hire though is things will definitely look different.
No, yeah, this is not going to be. The offense is going to look different. Mike Brown pushes for player movement, pace, and ball movement. You're going to see JB pass the ball a lot more. You're going to see Markel Bridges go for cuts. You're going to see OG Anunoby go for cuts. You're going to see Cat pick and roll with Jalen Brunson, pick and pop with Jalen Brunson.
What kind of cuts you think the Knicks can expect from those main players?
So objective Knicks fan mentioned it. There was a specific cut he was talking about with Mikal Bridges that I don't remember the name. It was one of the Philly Marlowe cuts. I can't remember the name of it, but he mentioned it. If you put Mikal in that kind of defense, he's averaging like at least 18 points a night.
Okay. Right.
I'm not familiar with the cut system.
I don't know in particular I don't know for particular if those type of cuts and slashes in the offensive sets with Mike Brown are gonna be predetermined cuts against certain looks. I honestly feel like it's gonna be an organic feel for the game, work your way into open spots, giving passing lanes to guys that can see you and get that ball to you against a mismatch.
Right. And I feel like, before I get on that point, I feel like the Mike Brown hiring gets a lot of bad smoke because of his time in Sacramento. I was looking on Reddit today, right, Fritzy? And there was this one person that was commenting on Mike Brown, because he was rigid, he was stubborn, he didn't want to play Ellis Walker, not Ellis Walker, Elon Walker, one of the guys' name. He had a DMP for many reasons. And I'm like, but that's Sacramento, though. Like, that's Sacramento. This is not Sacramento. This is the New York Knicks, which, with a more stacked roster, with a bench finally, thank you, Leon Rose, for getting us Jordan Carter and Yapuzeli. And you got a closer. You got a big man who does good on offense. You got Josh Hart off the bench who can give you 9 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists a night, right? This team is well-oriented. Does it have issues? Yes, but I think everyone at least should give Mike Brown the benefit of the doubt due to what he has. That's all I'm saying. Keon Ellis, that's who I was mentioning.
Okay.
Thank you, Endgame.
Okay. So the thing is with Mike Brown, basically the players wanted a different coach, right? You knew a guy was gonna. You knew when you started hearing about players having players only meetings in the playoffs, you knew that the Tibbs thing was basically at the end of the road,
Right.
right? We knew that Tibbs wasn't gonna survive.
Another
When you
year.
start to hear rumblings in the playoffs, you know somebody has to go. Now, do you trade Jalen Brunson or do you fire? Do you trade the players or do you keep Tibbs? And that's an easy decision to make.
Right. Trade Jalen Brunson. You're kidding me, right? If you traded Jalen Brunson, half of New York would literally riot in Madison Square Garden, for God's sakes.
Yeah, you're not going to trade Mitch. You're not going to trade OG. You're not going to trade just because this thing is not working with Tibbs. The coach had to go.
Right.
Right.
Now we're going to see if the coach was the actual problem as
Yeah.
well. But
Yeah.
but yeah, back to your point, right? Mike Brown as a whole, like, I think he deserves a fair shot. He even said it. He wanted this job. He likes pressure. You know, he was studying the Knicks the whole year. He was studying their weaknesses. He was studying their strengths. So, as a fan, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to give the trust of the front office a shot because, let's be honest here, the last 5 years for this front office, it's been really good. Minus the 2021-2022 season, Fritzy.
Yeah. This team is really good. This team is really good, and the opportunity is there for this team to do something really special.
Atlanta's good.
Right.
Orlando's good. Milwaukee got good with Miles Turner, although that remains to be seen. Right.
Right.
Look, there's just a lot of teams that got stacked recently. Orlando being one of them.
Right. Right. One of the things that I understand about and my limited success is that when you get buy-in from an entire organization, generally people sacrifice in order to get success from the organization.
Right.
I don't know if we kind of got that completely from the coaching staff and the players. Right. I think there was a lot of miscommunication, a lot of bickering that we saw.
Cat and Mikkel.
Yeah, that we generally didn't see
Last year.
from this team. Yeah, when Randall was here, you didn't see a lot of internal bickering. You basically saw the external, like they're not us and all these different things.
Right. I think that was because I don't think that was anyone hated each other. The team has a very good relationship. Where you saw JB said to his best, he loves all his teammates. You know what I mean? Here's the
Right.
thing that people don't understand. You can love your teammates, but you can kill them for what they want to do on the court. You can kill them for missing a possession. You can kill them for missing their man.
Right.
So, and East Blue Drew brings a point. They're going to be learning a new system this whole year and throughout training camp. They're going to have to learn Mike Brown's system.
Right.
And clearly that takes time. Time is not on our side, though. Let's be real here. We don't know how long Tyrese is going to be out with an Achilles here. We definitely don't know how long Damian Lillard's going to be out. And we don't know how Jason Tatum is going to be out. I don't wish injuries on nobody. My prayers go out to them. Achilles heel is the Satan's injury of basketball.
Right.
It used to be ACL, but technology's evolved since then. You know what I mean? But
Right.
this is going to be an interesting season. West is going to be
I'm going to
different.
view that a little bit. I'm going to view it a little bit different. What I'm going to say is that the transition with Mike Brown is going to be more of a Mike Brown transitioning to a veteran team. Right? It's going to look like player led at first on until Mike Brown is in these critical situations where he can make critical game theory impact wins and losses for the Knicks. Right? I don't think Mike Brown has to teach Jalen Brunson how to shoot a jump shot. But what he can do though is devise schemes, defensive schemes to stop other opposing players when they get hot. Right? Or develop or come up with offensive
schemes.
Offensive schemes to scheme open Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby. I think those are real things. He doesn't have to teach Cat how to play offensive basketball.
He needs to teach Cat how to play defense.
Yeah.
And Cat has had a problem with defense for a long time, dating back to college. We saw it back in the NBA playoffs when Shaq and Charles called him out for, committing stupid fouls.
Right.
I want to see how that develops, but I think Mike Brown's going to have a few challenges. One, he's going to have to hide JB and Cat on defense. That's number one. Number two, he's going to have to figure out an offensive scheme to get OG and Mikal involved.
Hey, hold on. Let's talk about point one first. So point one, right? When you said he's going to have to hide Cat and Brunson, right?
Right.
My question to the chat is this. Regardless what coach the Knicks hired, would they have to hide Cat and Brunson? Cash, what's good, bro?
Hey, what's good? What's good?
What's up, Cash?
Hey, what's good? Salute.
Salute.
Cash, regardless who the Knicks hired, would they have had to hide Brunson and Cat on defense?
Oh, repeat that question again, please.
Regardless who the Knicks hire, would they have had to hide Cat and Brunson on defense?
Yes.
Right. So Mike Brown's issue is not a Mike Brown issue, it's a universal issue. Right?
Yes.
Okay. My question to Yuri is, how does Mike Brown do that?
Repeat the question again so I can answer.
How does Mike Brown hide Brunson and Cat on defense?
You're going to have to play a zone. That zone that allows, the Knicks to not have a lot of threes come off. The perimeter defense was really bad. And I think you have to do a hybrid of 2-3 zone, and you have to do a hybrid of a 2-3 zone and man-on-man defense. I think that's how you hide JB and Cat. Because JB can be a good perimeter defender. We've seen it. But he can also take charges at the same time. He led the league in charges this year. And I think that's something we keep in mind. So I feel like a hybrid of 2-3 or 3-2. I can't remember which one it is that stops the 3-point shots. But you need one of those zones and combine it with a man-on-man. No drop coverage. I think putting Cat in drop coverage was really detrimental. That part I blame on Tibbs. I don't blame that on Cat. So I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to say you have to do a 2-3 zone or 3-2 zone or 3-2 zone. I can't remember which one. And you combine it with man-on-man. Because Cat is a good on-ball defender in ISO situations. Okay, so it is 3-2.
Yeah, the 3-2 zone is one of those zones we ran in elementary school when you didn't know how to play man-to-man defense. Right. Stand right here and don't let nobody get it. You did. This one of those, right? But in terms of zone, I don't think the Knicks are gonna. I know they'll have to sprinkle in some type of zone in order to stop runs when teams go on runs against us.
That's when you put the zone
teams going like an 8-0 run, say a 13-2 run, something like that, where you can't stop their offense and you just gotta have to give their offense a different look. Something to slow them down. And also we have to remember that zone defense, you can't run a zone defense in transition.
Yeah,
So you got to keep teams out of transition, right, and make them score in the half court over a zone defense to have it be effective.
right. East Blues also said you can have Deuce and Mitch. I feel like Mike Brown would be open to starting Deuce this season as well.
What do you think, Cash?
I would say that it would definitely have to rotate the defensive assignments um, based on matchups. It could be you could show um, a man look and then switch to zone, where you could go with a matchup zone. You would definitely have to rotate the defense. It would definitely be a team defensive effort uh, for the Knicks under Mike Brown. I mean, I don't know what the plan is, obviously, but I definitely agree that drop coverage, forget about it. That should be in file 13 for sure. So I mean, in that way, maybe to help to mask some of the defensive deficiencies of Cat and Brunson. Just as
Yeah.
you mentioned about Brunson taking charges, which is a good thing. It could definitely be helpful at times. But that's really, in my estimates, is going to be the challenge to the Mike Brown coaching. It's not going to be on the offensive side of the ball. It's going to be on the defensive end of where we're going to be challenged and and see what we can do to have a good team defense, because it's going to take a team defense. It's not going to be an individual. It's going to be a team defense that's good team defense that's going to elevate us to get to the finals and hopefully win this chip. So it's hard to say right now, but we have to wait and see how things develop.
Right. Not only that too, right? Not only do you have to wait and see how things develop, you also have to they also have to buy into the system.
Yeah, true. Whatever system's employed, because I always say, like, always make chess references. I mean, everybody's got the same amount of pieces: knights, rooks, bishops, so on and so forth. It's how they're used. It's the strategy that's employed, but it's also once the game commences, is what tactics you use. The problem with uh, Tibbs was strategically he was good. He was always prepared. They talked about him in regards to preparation, but when it came to tactics, that's where he
It
was
was either
flawed.
adjustments were made too late or no adjustments was made at all.
Exactly, and he was very predictable in what he did. Because sometimes in a game of chess, though you go in with a certain mindset, your strategy may have to change based on
Right.
your opponent's
Cash,
movement.
that's why I
And,
disagree at
and
what you wrote. Because I was with you until you said the prepared part. I think he was not prepared, right? And
I
so,
had a theory about that actually.
Yuri, hold on.
My bad.
So Cash, I don't think he was prepared. Like knowing how the pieces move, right, and understanding the rules does not mean you're efficient at playing the game, right? That's where I think Tibbs was. Like, I think Tibbs understood what the other teams were doing, and I think he understood the personnel that he had. I honestly don't think he knew how to use the personnel he had against what he knew was coming. And for that reason, I think that they knew it was time. Like that Detroit series, should not have been as tough as a series as we allowed it to be.
Now, based on what you just said, as I think about it, in connection with the chess game, yeah, yeah, you make an excellent point because again, if your opponent is deploying this strategy,
Right.
that's where tactics come in and where you have to make adjustments and have to know how your pieces move, knowing that pawns move this way, rooks move this way, knights move this way, and also say that the Tibbs definitely did not you get the best benefit from the pieces that we had. And going back on what was said earlier when I was listening before I came on, I mean, I totally agree that the pieces will should definitely get used in a way that's going to. Well, I shouldn't say the pieces, but referring to the coach Mike Brown, that since now he is the architect, so to speak, coaching wise of the chessboard, that let's see how he uses the pieces, and he should use them better than Thibodeau.
And
He
so,
also no. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
oh, just really quick because I know you already wanted to jump in, but I just want to say this to the point that David Smith made. So he made a great point, and one of the things that he said, and I didn't get a chance to see it. The other stuff, it sounds like the other stuff he's saying sound like cat fandom, but one of the things he mentioned though is using Carl Anthony Towns. Here's the picture I want to paint for y'all. Right?
Go ahead.
Imagine Jalen Brunson being picked up 90 feet. Right? He finally gets across half. Right? So
Hmm.
across half, they bring a guy to trap Jalen Brunson. Right? And your chess move is to bring Mitchell Robinson up to set a screen 40 feet away from the rim so Brunson can get free.
Right.
Or to bring Cat up 35 feet away from the rim to get free. Now you're prepared because you know what's coming, right? You know what's coming. That's why you
Uh,
brought Mitch up 40 feet, right? But
right.
once Mitch sets the screen at 40 feet, what is Mitchell Robinson going to do for the rest of the play? Now
Nothing.
you have Mitch's man still defending. So now it's five defenders guarding four people, right? Plus you have the mismatch wing on Brunson. And then when he did it with Cat at 35 feet, right? What they do, they would clamp Brunson, force Brunson a certain way, and put a taller guy in the Cat passing lane. So now Brunson has to make something out of nothing, right? And so if you know this, like what Cash was saying, when you're prepared and you know what's going to happen, what's your adjustment to what they're going to do? There was none. You can't allow Cat and Brunson. You can't have Cat and Brunson in the same place on the floor with three defenders and nobody else on the floor can score because Brunson can't get them the ball. This is stuff everybody in this chat, y'all saw it with your own eyes. Brunson gets picked up 90 feet, right? Barely gets the ball across the timeline. A big comes up top into that trap area, right? Now Mitch is 40 feet away from the rim, useless in the offense now because you have him out so far out of his sweet spot. Or you have Cat do it. And you can't get the ball to Cat because a guy 4 inches taller than you is guarding you in the Carl Anthony Towns passing lane. But Tom Thibodeau knew it the whole time because teams had been doing that to us since March. And so even though Tibbs was prepared, Cash, what was he prepared for? Hey, Derek Franks, thank you for the generous contribution. Derek Franks says Brown has to take them to the ECF, and I agree.
I agree too. It's ECF. I don't want to say finals yet because anything can happen. Right? He has to get them to the ECF for me to win me over. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, but it has to be Eastern Conference Finals for me. Also, to one by your point, Fritzy and Cass, Tibbs was just, if I had to describe it, right, I think what really got him done in the end, it was the Game 1 collapse. I know nobody wants to talk about it. Everyone wants to keep it buried in their memory. But if you're Tibbs, you have to say, hold on to the ball. Hold on to the ball. You had 2 minutes left. You know, it just felt like, and not to mention, too, they didn't practice at all. The players mentioned this, they do not practice. I also feel like that's why he had to get fired. How do you not practice throughout the entire year? What, so you can play 40 minutes a night every game? Come on, that's not sustainable.
Well, on the offensive point, and I hope David Smith is still in here. So David Smith, what I'm saying to you is when you bring Cat 35 feet away from the rim and you put a wing in a passing lane between Brunson and Cat, now Cat's shots go down, right? Now, instead of Cat taking 17 to 18 shots a game, you're seeing games where Cat's taking 11 shots. Now, here's the thing. I'm not talking about 11 take any shots you want shot. I'm not talking about BS shots. I'm talking about quality NBA shots. Like when you look at Cat shots in the playoffs, those Cat was probably taking 7 to 8 quality shots a game. Right? 7 to 8 quality NBA shots. When you look at the box score, right? When you look at Cat takes a 3-pointer and missed, man, how many 31-foot 3-pointers did Cat take and miss off the front of the rim? Because if he gets within 30 feet, he's going to be trapped and you can't get Cat the ball. Meanwhile, you have shooters in the corners that you can't get the ball to, but nobody is threatening the front of the rim to make the defense either sag off a Cat or sag off those 3-point shooters in the corners. Right? And so and Nick also says something too that's very smart. I'm glad you mentioned this because this is what I was going to say next. You don't use Mitch past the 3-point line, right? That job needs another guard or forward helping Brunson. This is one of the things that I mentioned too. When you have Mitchell Robinson screen up 40 feet away from the rim, it's science that he won't be able to catch the lob because now Mitchell Robinson has to sprint full speed 40 feet in order to catch a lob. It don't make sense. It don't make sense. Right? So the thing with Mike Brown is you alleviate a lot of these things because Mike Brown, while people may have faith in him, he may not. You get a different set of eyes on what ailed the Knicks, right? When our offense bogged down, because we didn't have a secondary playmaker, ball handling guy on the floor. That's what it boils down to, right? They want to press Jalen Brunson 90 feet. Man, give the ball to Deuce. Let Deuce bring it up, right? That eliminates the whole thing. Now, instead of getting across the half with 15 seconds left, you get across the floor with 20 seconds left. Right now, you can cycle through your offense. Now, guys can get touches. You can threaten the defense. And while you're sprinting, bringing the ball up the floor, their set defense is not a set defense because they had to pick people up in transition. I got him. No, you get him. They have to do that. They have to communicate that on defense. That's why communication and transition defense is crucial. When you force teams to do that, you get mismatches organically. But when you pressure Jalen Brunson, the rest of your defense can get back, set the defense, and call out stuff. If Brunson is going left, you can call your guy like, yeah, so yo, go. So you can trap him. If he's going right, you can call the other guy, go. So you can trap him. Right? But when you let Brunson when it's 9 seconds, and I know there's an 8-second call, right? But I'm saying by the time you get into your offense is 13 seconds. That's a coaching thing. If you see that cash, if you see that over and over and over and over and over again, that's not the players, bro. That's the coach.
Yep.
But you can't fault him for knowing that Jalen Brunson is a tough shot hitter.
Right.
Like Jalen Brunson can score on anybody. So instead of making a schematic thing that could sacrifice part of your defense, you're like, no, Jalen Brunson to bail us out. Instead of thinking, no, we're going to add balance, we're going to add some offense and defense to the floor, right? Instead of thinking like, yo, you know what? We'll put another guard on the floor with JB, a big guard. That way, if they trap Brunson, we can have our big guard beat their trap and find Jalen Brunson for. Listen, everybody, I'm gonna say something that sounds crazy, right? But a big guard can find Jalen Brunson for an open spot up three. Now I know this concept blows your mind, right? I know this concept blows your mind. Jalen Brunson would never be open for a spot up three. Well, he won't be in the offenses that we've seen in the last 3 years. Of course not.
But with Mike
Right.
Brown, he might be now.
But with Mike Brown, you'll see things like this. And here's the thing. You don't have to just bring up the ball if you're a guard, right? What about OG Anunoby getting a rebound and bringing the ball up the floor? What about Mikal Bridges getting a rebound and bringing them? Wait. What about Karl Anthony Towns getting a rebound and bringing the ball up the floor? They do it in Sacramento. We saw Sabonis did it on us twice and went to the free throw line. Sabonis got the rebound, brought the ball all the way up the floor, went straight to the rim, and got fouled twice. These things are not unique.
It's about tactics and also to your offensive philosophy. And I think that's why it's important that we can get Barango. If we can bring Barango in, if we can bring Barango in, let me put y'all on notice. It will the things Freezy that you're referring to. You're going to see a lot of that. It's going to be drastically different because in some realms, from what I've been hearing throughout the course of the day and in various articles, he's somewhat of an offensive savant, and that's certainly he can unlock, uh, you know, unlock Brunson even more, as well as Cat, so that they won't be the sole focal point, sole targets as it was on offense, because you have to worry about what's going on in the off-ball action. Who's bringing the ball up, as you mentioned. Calling out. If somebody's taking a rebound and running down court, like you said, you don't want the defense. I'm talking about from the offensive, our Knicks on the offensive perspective. You don't want the defense to get set. And the way that the Knicks have been running their offense, it allows the opposing team's defense to get set. You don't want you don't want that team's defense to get set, because then, as you mentioned, Freezy, you get those mismatches, and players that are out of position. People don't know who they guarding, and you cause chaos. You can cause chaos. So I think offensively, it's going to be a welcome change to see these things being implemented on the Knicks on the offense. My concern, of course, is on the defensive end, but that's a whole nother discussion.
That exactly. Also want to add to a point. The Knicks, as of right now, Fritzy and Cash, as I've been told, by many, sources of mine, I've from Instagram to a few and Stephen actual sources from Stephen Mondi, the Knicks are looking for assistant coaches that will have a mix of offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators as well. There haven't been any titles, right, given out officially, but the front office is committed to give Mike Brown a balance of offense and defense. So make of that what you will, as well. Just
Derek Frank,
FYI.
thank you for the generous contribution. So Derek Frank says Mike Brown is almost the same as Tibbs. I'm going to disagree with that. I think Mike Brown is more hands-on and personable. The one thing when Cash was speaking, I didn't want to cut him off, and I'm glad Cash said that too. For what I meant to say, Cash is good to see you. I don't know, maybe my mind is in outer space, but
Nah, it's all right. It's good, man. Go ahead,
but,
man. Preach,
but
man. Preach.
one of the things that's underrated about Mike Brown. Now, mind you, I'm not talking good about him because I like him. I wanted Taylor Jenkins or Teron Lue, but if we're just going to keep it a stack, if we're going to be honest, Mike Brown instills trust in players. Like if he will trust you to do certain stuff. Yonder, you remember? Hey, Cash, you remember the game where Malik Monk went crazy on us against RJ? Was it RJ? He roasted.
Might have
Right?
been. Yeah, it might have been. I
Yeah,
forget exactly.
yeah. I did. Yeah, I can't. I don't know if it was RJ. It was somebody. We played that like a couple of years ago or something. The one thing I noticed about Mike Brown is like he trusts the players. He ain't ready to have a meltdown if somebody blow a defensive assignment. He ain't gonna start crying, right? He'll let you play. He'll try, hey man, nah man, we know you made a mistake. I did. Like he not gonna. I could never envision. I could never envision Mike Brown doing Obi Toppin the way Tibbs did Obi Toppin. Cash, when we used to go to the games, no matter where we were, Orlando, Miami, Atlanta, Charlotte, DC, wherever we went, this man would scream Obi Toppin name all game long. Obi! Obi! And we like, yo, man, let that kid play. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Was this
So
Tibbs?
yeah,
Yeah.
Tim's
Yeah.
doing that to Obi
Yeah.
Toppin. Yo, these kids, they have to play and learn how to play and play through certain mistakes in an offensive league. In an offensive league, guys are gonna get beat occasionally.
Yeah. Let me just say this, man. I'm going to use a work analogy. Like on my job, man. Like for what I do, you probably see me in my work gig once or twice. On the show. If you were or a leader or a team leader or supervisor or manager or whatever, I mean, whatever role you're in, and I'm speaking from experiences because that puts me in that category. You got to empower your people, man. You got to empower them. And just as you mentioned, that's what Mike Brown's going to do, man. He's going to empower
Mhm.
their people for them to perform well. Because keep in mind that when they perform their job well, that gives them confidence, but also too it helps your team overall.
Yeah,
Right.
If you're going to have a short leash, like you were saying, hollering Obi, you know, trying to micromanage, somebody
yeah,
looking over their shoulder, what's gonna happen? You
yeah,
already know. You already know when he commit that foul, what's gonna happen?
yeah.
Stop at your play, and what's gonna happen?
We run a two-man
Okay, get
drag
back, get
on.
back in the game, so and so. Obi,
Yeah,
come to the bench.
yep. As soon as they run a two-man drag on a weak side on a tag man, which gets everybody. If you're one player defending two people in space, of course you're going to get beat wherever the ball. Yeah, just hey man.
Right. Tibbs did another thing too. Tibbs did not like rookies. I think
Yeah,
well, the elephant in the room. We did not see Tyler Kolek. When was the last time we saw Tyler? We didn't see him in January. We didn't see him until like 4 months. If there was a time to play that kid, it was either during the San Antonio Spurs game where we got blown out, and we got blown out in a back-to-back after the Hornets game.
yeah,
And
Yeah,
a lot of people were calling for his head. And what did he get questioned? Right? Why did you play a 7-man rotation, an 8-man rotation against those teams? And why did
and one
Jalen
more.
Brunson had to put 55 points up in a Washington Wizards game? Like,
One more point I would say in regards to the work analogy, man. You gotta allow your people sometimes to make mistakes, man. Because how
Yeah.
else you gonna learn? How else you gonna get better? Just like in chess, man, you ain't always gonna win. You're gonna lose a lot. You're gonna lose more than you win.
Yeah.
So how you gonna get better, man? So you got to allow them, that mistake to happen. I mean, and so they don't have to look over their shoulder and be like, no, ball, man. I mean, there's a time and place where you have to take that person aside and you have to give them some direction
But if you're not
or
practicing,
whatever.
how can you correct it if you're not practicing?
Yeah, you're right. You're right, man. It's this clip. It's a clip on Twitter. Matter of fact, Freezy, I think I sent it to you.
Yeah.
When Mike Brown was using a lot of profanity. I mean, definitely
I
can't.
remember that clip.
Yeah,
I
definitely can't say it here, but that's to my point.
Yeah.
I'll just say that.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, Mike Brown is engaged. He's a people person. Like, but anyway, yeah, I gotta get out of here, man. I gotta be on the phones at like 7:30, and I'm up
Yep.
talking Knicks at almost 2 o'clock in the morning. Just want to thank everybody for coming through. Cash, I did get it, but y'all pardon me with the DMs, man, because I'll check them. But man,
I know you're busy, man. You're busy.
oh well, like most folks,
Yeah, you're
like
busy. I'm busy too, man.
yeah,
we're
like most
all
I
folks,
busy.
understand. Yeah,
yeah,
I understand.
yeah. So thank you everybody for coming through, man. I'm gonna get out of here so I can get me some rest.
All
All
right.
right. Salute everyone.
Salute,
Peace. Good
salute.
night.
Peace.